So, hi, my name is Zach and I'm a Year 8 student at Wonthaggi Secondary College.
And I am Billy. I am a grade 4 student at Wonthaggi Primary School.
And we're here today to talk about Resource Smart Schools, to talk to you, who is the Education and Interpretation Coordinator at the Phillip Island Nature Park. If it's okay with you, Ewan, we'd like to ask you some questions.
Of course.
Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, your hobbies, and the work you do at the nature park?
Yeah, absolutely. So I consider myself a lifelong learner. So every day I find myself being curious about the world around me, and at nature parks on Phillip Island, I get the chance to inquire and learn about all the amazing local wildlife and habitat on Phillip Island. So my job is I work with a team of education rangers, and we connect people of all ages with nature.
Sounds pretty good. So what did you have to study to do your job, and did you need to go to university to study that?
I did go to university, but I studied something that wasn't environmental science, and it certainly wasn't education or teaching. I studied filmmaking. But that experience, and then making a whole bunch of videos and films and working on TV shows and that sort of thing, let me get really good at communication and pretty good at creativity and reasonable sometimes at critical thinking. And those skills are things that I really think are valuable in my job, working with a team of educators in the environment.
That's cool. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Not many people would have been able to say that they've studied filmmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think more and more what we study and what you think, well, you might be, what your career might look like, might change. So being able to go with the flow a little bit through change, or find opportunities and things you can learn and thrive through change is kind of a skill onto itself. Especially with the environment, down at Phillip Island every day the weather is so different. So rain, hail or shine, we're out there looking after habitat for wildlife, and the penguins show up in the worst of weather or the most beautiful day. So
yeah, adapting to change now, especially as well, would be a big thing that most people would have had to learn too.
yes, yeah, absolutely. And for you at the moment, as you were talking about doing your learning from home, that's a big change this year.
Is there any major changes that you had to make from, well, coronavirus and the new restrictions?
Yeah, lots of changes. We needed to really consider how we can be safe, how we can keep our staff and any visitors safe. And nature parks, we closed our sites for a while. We're very happy to be reopened to visitors now, but with a very limited capacity and a whole lot of processes and procedures to keep everyone safe on our sites. It's really important that we are open, because we use ecotourism and the revenue we generate from tourism to fund our work in conservation and education and research, so we can look after a whole lot of habitat and wild places on Phillip Island.
In saying that, so there must be some pretty not nice things that you see, like animals being stuck in fishing line and plastic bags and that kind of thing. Would you say that that's one of the worst parts of your job?
It is, yeah. Sadly, some of the the human impacts, whether they're direct impacts or indirect. Like, you know, you might be having a birthday party and blowing up balloons to celebrate, and then one of those balloons might, you know, escape or get blown by the wind and end up in a pot and then into a drain and making its way to a waterway. And sadly, if that piece of plastic makes it out into the ocean, a little bit of colourful balloon looks like a bit of food to a penguin, and it even smells like a bit of food for some of the marine creatures. And unfortunately, if that creature eats a bit of plastic, it can lead to death, or it can make that animal really sick. So yeah, I have seen some really sad things in the course of my work where some of our wildlife have been injured or perished from some of the things that humans do. Luckily, one of the things that I get to think about and help my team of educators do is to help people become really aware that their actions and their choices can make a real difference to different animals.
Yeah.
What do you love about your job?
I think I really love being in nature, so I get to spend a lot of time outside in some really special places. So Phillip Island is called Malau, and that's a Bunurong word for Phillip Island, Malau. So I get to spend a lot of time on Bunurong country, and I really feel privileged and excited to be, you know, on this special place. Malau had a whole lot of cultural significance for the Bunurong people, and every day, you know, usually I get to spend a bit of time outside, so that's something I really love about my role.
Are the penguins your favourite animal? They definitely probably would be mine.
They're becoming one of my favourite animals. I struggle with having a favourite animal because I like so many. I really love some of our native mammals. We have an amazing species called the eastern barred bandicoot on Phillip Island, and it's such a cute, such a gentle little creature, and it hops around through some of the grasses we have down on the island, and it's actually a threatened species, but it's really beginning to do well on both Churchill Island, which is a little island right beside Phillip Island, and on Phillip Island itself. And we're excited because we've also set up another haven for this threatened species, the eastern barred bandicoot, over on French Island. And part of what our conservation and science team does is monitor those animals and learns about what they need to survive, what they need in their habitat. So I'm warming up to penguins, but I do love a bandicoot.
I've read about them in a book before. They're quite cool.
They're interesting creatures. You know, they're pretty small, like they're tiny, but they dig in a year. They dig into the soil the amount that an elephant weighs. So they move a whole lot of dirt. Now you can move dirt in Minecraft, which is pretty hard, but when you're out there moving dirt around in an ecosystem, it's actually a really critical function for a healthy, diverse ecosystem. So all that digging that the bandicoots do improves the biodiversity health of the ecosystem. So it's not only important because they're they're a threatened species. There's very few of them in the wild, so it's important that we look after their habitat as best we can there. But their function in that habitat is really important for all the other animals, plants and insects and life that's in the area as well. That's why they're one of my favourites.
So what are some of the programs that you're involved in at the nature park, and what ones would you say like are really important and you'd like to keep making them bigger?
Yeah, so certainly our school programs are all really exciting and important. The aim of those is to really empower people of all ages to be able to take positive action for the environment. And I really love those programs because we meet with groups of school students, you know, on the beach or at the penguin parade in the penguin colony or in some of our wetlands or over on Churchill Island. So they're programs that occur in really different places. Another program that I'm really keen to see continue is our beach cleaning program that's run by volunteers. So we have a really strong connection with people in our community, and they pick up marine debris found along the beaches, and that's nice because it keeps the beaches clean. But the really important part is they then look at what they've picked up and they fill out a database, so they start to understand what sort of rubbish is being washed up on our beaches and where that rubbish comes from. And so they then fill out a database and send it to a national collection called Tanganora Blue. So that starts to inform decisions that manufacturers that are actually creating these objects for people to use, and then they get thrown out and they might find their way accidentally into the waterways and onto the beaches. So that's a really important program for us.
So how many people would you say at the moment are involved in that program, and how are you looking towards making more people join into the beach cleanups?
Yeah, well, we have a couple on the education team that lead that program, and a big part of what they do is they engage with our volunteers and they ask questions, personal questions about which beaches the volunteers feel safe on and feel motivated to look after. So they look after the volunteers and make sure that it's meaningful and safe work for the volunteers to do. But we like to reach out and collaborate with other local community groups that are taking action in that space, fighting against marine debris. So there's an organisation called Plastic Free Phillip Island. We work with them a bit, and we work with other local agencies to try to grow that program. I also think there's opportunities for, there was a marine debris congress last year in Melbourne. So there's opportunities to find out how other communities are looking after their beaches and learn from each other, you know, the best ways to not only pick up debris off the beach, but learn about how it's getting there and what we can do to stop it more at the source than just picking it up.
So what kind of debris is coming onto the beaches in Phillip Island?
We get a lot of plastics. And have you ever heard of nurdles?
No.
I think I said that right. Sometimes it sort of sounds like noodles, but nurdles are little pellets of plastic, and they've been rolling around in the ocean for a very long time. They're a type of microplastic, so they're a tiny little speck. And we spend a lot of time, especially in winter, we seem to get a lot of nurdles washing in and gathering at the high tide mark on our beaches. We also remove a lot of fishing line, and then it sort of changes with the seasons. In summer, we get a lot of bits and pieces that might come from more local beaches, like with more visitors on the island enjoying the beaches. You know, you might take your lunch to the beach and a bit of food packaging might wash out, or you might leave a pair of shoes on the beach and the high tide comes and picks that up and takes it out. So occasionally we get things that might come from boats that have fallen off boats in the ocean. But yeah, a lot of plastic, a lot of cigarette butts, a lot of balloons. But since we've started to ask people to blow bubbles, not balloons, there's been less balloons. And some of the data from our beach cleaning program indicates that there has been a bit of a reduction in balloons washing up on our beaches, which is tremendous.
So Turn of the Tides is a program that's been run at a number of local schools. So Billy, wasn't it run at your school last year?
Yeah, the grade 5s and the grade 6s did it last year.
Can you tell us how schools can get involved with this program?
Yes, I actually prepared something to answer this question. So the best way to get involved is to send us an email. Can you guys read that okay?
Yeah.
School bookings at penguins.org.au.
Yeah. If you have a look at Phillip Island Nature Park's website, you'll be able to get that email address as well. But send us an email if you're a teacher to learn more about our Turn the Tide program and how to be involved with that. It's been a bit of a challenge for us this year with the impact of COVID. We've had to really change the program and make some of it happen online, like with conversations like we're having now with using these digital tools. But the learning and the actions that come out of that program are the same. We're aiming to build students and teachers' knowledge of biodiversity, what that is and why it's important, and also become more aware of the unique biodiversity in your local area and in your school ground. So one of the education rangers said to me yesterday, you know, if you don't have the habitat, if you don't have the trees, you're not going to get the little creatures, the insects, and the birds, you know, aren't going to be there if the insects aren't there. So, you know, nature and humans are part of nature. We're all connected, and what happens to one creature, the health of one creature, really affects the health of everything else around it. So that Turn the Tide program is all about appreciating and, you know, becoming aware and celebrating and understanding biodiversity and why that's important. But a big part of it is what students and teachers do. They take action. So part of the program, you develop your own action plan that really suits your school or your local community. And with our rangers helping, you take some action for the environment.
What more can students like us do to look after the environment?
Yeah, there's lots of stuff. Certainly, finding a mentor, someone that might inspire you, is a good step. So I've been really motivated by the New Zealand Prime Minister. Actually, she is such a powerful person, making some fantastic decisions that I feel really inspired by her. So finding someone that has had some success working for the environment might motivate you. But you can make a whole lot of personal decisions. Even stuff like what you take to school for lunch and the packaging that it's wrapped in can make a difference. So avoiding single-use plastics, taking, you know, you could do stuff like make your own muesli bars rather than having individual single-use plastics wrapping those muesli bars. So, you know, learning how to cook, and by doing that, you're avoiding the use of some plastic. that's one action that you could take. Simple stuff like using a reusable water bottle rather than a plastic water bottle is a good one. Working with your teachers and, you know, letting them know what you're passionate about and interested in, and looking at your own playground and thinking, well, there's a soccer field for us, but what have we got there for nature?
So would you like more schools to get involved in looking after the environment?
Oh, absolutely. I think schools are such a positive part of the community, and young people are so smart and inventive and full of energy and have great ideas. So yes, my answer to that one is absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today as part of Resource Smart Schools. It has been great and we've definitely learnt a lot. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for all the interesting questions.